everyone. So welcome to today's webinar. Thanks for joining us. We are going to go over the new 4.0 and 3.3 releases from Uplevel. So we'll go ahead and just jump right into it. Today we are going to go over, first of all, we're going to start off with the current landscape of how everything is going in the marketplace right now, trends that we are seeing, and what the overall landscape looks like, just to set the stage to explain why we're currently putting out the features that we are. Then we'll obviously go into the release content and talk about what is coming up next for Uplevel. So let's go ahead and get started. So the current landscape right now, first of all, to set the stage for this release, we want to talk about kind of what is going on in the marketplace. And a major trend that we're seeing is this doing more with less, at the same time that people are continuing to harden work from home infrastructure and diversify and distribute networks across greater and greater distances. Obviously, with the advent of COVID, there have been a lot of different solutions that have come up to enable employees to work from home, this being one of them. So we're starting to see those duct tape solutions kind of fall away and that hardening of the infrastructure come into place. But all of this while customers and companies are doing more with less, investing in the short and medium term solutions, maybe not as much long term, they're still kind of looking out, but most importantly, they're conserving cash. But there is this idea that this work from home is going to continue. So customers are starting to invest more and more in security and stability to make sure that those infrastructures for work from home are stable and reliable so that they can get through this turbulent time. So with that, we're seeing a lot of MSPs having success, again, with this doing more with less, but they're getting fairly creative in how they are expanding their business and continuing to grow even during this hardship. So first of all, we're seeing businesses expand without people spending resources on additional headcount or additional internal salaries, but there's coming up with creative ways to continue to generate more leads, and most importantly, adding resources to the sales funnel. I think a lot of MSPs right now are realizing that an empty funnel right now means no growth in revenue, 6 months down the line. So there is a bit of a lag there, and although things might not be painful now, they certainly see the horizon where it could be painful if they don't continue to push resources into the sales funnel. Now they're doing that in a handful of different ways. LinkedIn Pro Finder continues to be a great resource for MSPs to generate new leads in their area that are specific to what they're looking for. Those are certainly very hot leads. We're also seeing an increase in Facebook ads recently that have turned on, as well as different professional organizations, and many are targeting this work from home with specific packages and specific resources for those customers and companies. So they're finding these new creative ways, but most importantly, they're staying in communication and creating new value for those customers. So maybe that's creating value in soft services that they didn't sell before, or adding resources to curtail what the customer may need, right? So maybe they are relaying some financial information about financing or loan distributions, and adding additional resources on top of an additional value on top of the existing technical value that they've been providing for so long. But most importantly, they're staying in communication with those customers to make sure that they have a very strong feeling of how the market is going, to feel any sort of bumps before they happen rather than afterwards. So we're seeing that certainly. So now to jump into this release, we are focused on really MSP simplicity, right? Our goal here is to, again, do more with less, but in terms of simplifying things, making things more efficient, and preserving profitability, right? So we're really focused on concentrating that profitability, and you really can't get profitability without simplicity and efficiency in your marketplace. And so conserving all those things so that MSPs can expand their physical footprint and their reach to customers. They can generate additional MRR. And so we're doing this through a handful of different things like ease of use and additional deployment situations and expansions, right? And improving the quality overall. So that's really the theme that you'll see in this release kind of moving forward. Now, to get into the release itself, technically, we're actually releasing 2 different releases. This might be a bit confusing, but don't worry. There is one difference between what we're calling 3.3 and what we're calling 4.0, and that is the domain. And that is the only difference between the two. All of the other features and functionality are present in both, with the exception of the domain-specific features. You may see your customers with a firmware update of 3.3 and the others with a 4.0. Don't worry, they're compatible with one another. Again, the only difference is the domain is for 4.0 customers and the non-domain is for 3.3. So you'll see that. Don't let it confuse you. We are really talking about the exact same thing here. It's just two different builds for those two different cycles. So the actual release content, we have multi-site domain services. That's going to be a 4.0 specific, and that is the only 4.0 specific feature. And then everything else is going to be the 48 port switch outdoor access point that we're introducing as new hardware, an SNMP agent, increased IPS IDS speed, and then local snapshot time machines. So we'll get into more detail about that right now. So this multi-site domain services option, this is really designed to simplify and productively allow MSPs to deploy domain services more profitably. And again, with the efficiency, right? Creating more efficient and simple solutions to increase profitability, to save customers money and time, and to get an overall value proposition higher, right? So we did this by enabling DNS across multiple sites. So now you can use a single domain controller on a multi-site deployment without having to have a domain controller at each individual office location. Centralizes all of the data usage, user permissions, audit logs, all of that good stuff. Dramatically reduces the configuration time as well as the cost associated with it. And again, we got rid of the cows, right? So that in and of itself dramatically reduces the cost of deploying an Active Directory server. Now, this is huge for work from home and will continue to be huge from work from home because all of these users are now using the VPN to access the main site. They can now register in, join the domain, access resources from any location, whether it be the site-to-site VPN or remote access VPN, they have access to that. So it decentralizes the need to be on site while centralizing all the data and user permissions. Again, we take care of all the DNS, so it's incredibly seamless across. We'll push all the correct DNS names across those sites as needed to make access and joining a seamless solution, as you would expect with all of the Uplevel features and functionality. We've already had several partners deploy this functionality to centralize resources and reduce the cost, but this has been a tremendous help during COVID, like I said, and really anywhere. And we had several partners who actually were able to do this in about a third of the time that it would normally take to deploy a domain controller. And in a lot of cases, they were actually replacing us from a traditional server and replacing us in, as well as jump cloud. So we've actually become a fairly large replacement for both of those items, in addition to customers who didn't previously have directory services and needed the functionality and audit logs. So we're reducing all those costs and providing more value to all of those customers. One customer is actually able to do all of those upgrades without the customer realizing it until the upgrade had completed. Now, usually a domain services upgrade is a fairly large task, but with the Uplevel solution and it being so simple to deploy, they were able to do it and the customer really had no idea until the end, which is fantastic as far as complexity, time, and integration. So the domain controller really opens doors to allow partners additional MRR streams that weren't previously there, as well as expanding the footprint that they can deploy domain controllers in with the multi-site deployment now. So this new hardware, we're now introducing both a 48 port switch and an outdoor access point that partners can now deploy to customers to, again, expand the simplicity and the profitability of their MRR and bring additional hardware into what they currently expect for ease of deployments with the Uplevel solution, right? So you get all of the Uplevel management into customers with various different needs as far as what their actual hardware deployments look like. And now they can manage it all centrally and automatically configures up just like any other piece of hardware from Uplevel that you would expect. It makes deploying those new pieces of hardware incredibly easy. This was a huge ask of a lot of partners, wondering why we didn't have a 48 port switch or an outdoor access point. So we're really excited to bring both of those new hardware features into the fold as official product lines. We've also introduced an SNMP agent for simplicity. This agent will produce data for device monitoring and management tools. So examples are SolarWinds and Domotes. This means we now work well with them, and you can use us along with any sort of monitoring tools that are using SNMP to automatically locate and discover and digest activity of devices on the network and centralize the viewing of third-party applications, right? So regardless of the hardware infrastructure, now you can view all of that hardware in a single platform using one of these third-party remote management tools. Really excited about that. Again, we had a ton of customers and partners ask us for this functionality to help them centralize their dashboards and standardize their deployments moving forward. And with that, we've actually integrated directly with Auvik. We spent a lot of time directly with their engineering team to simplify the deployment specifically to Auvik using our new SNMP agent. So now you have real-time network mapping and inventory management, automated network mapping, traffic insights, troubleshooting features, all of that good stuff directly in the Auvik dashboard. Again, this was a company that I can't even tell you the number of requests we got to directly integrate with them. So we have done that. We're really excited about it. And now you can grab all of the LAN activity from the Uplevel gateway directly in the Auvik dashboard. So that is incredibly exciting. Next, we have the IPS IDS Speed Increase. This is a popular item that, again, we get asked for, and we're excited to finally increase the speed yet again. It's now up to 220 megabits per second in a single stream. Most importantly, it takes away any need to replicate those streams across multiple devices to see the actual bandwidth of the network. Now it's all in a single stream, and it's done entirely via firmware updates and increased efficiencies of the processing cores and managing the streams. So we're able to do it entirely on firmware. There's no hardware swapping needed, which is exciting, right? We're simply increasing the speed to support all those higher throughput networks and the greater amount of traffic flowing through inspection these days. So they will see the entire 220 megabits on a single device, which we're very excited about. Next, we've got local snapshot time machine functionality. So this is really designed to simplify any sort of customer interaction when it comes to the NAS restorations. So now you can view snapshots located on the Uplevel gateway directly on client machines. That means a client connected to the network, connected to the NAS, can actually view all of the snapshots that are located on the NAS and restore them directly. It means that they no longer have to call support to restore any sort of file or folder from the Uplevel dashboard. They don't need any usernames or credentials. There's no dashboard changes. There's no customer logins needed. It's all done from the local machine connected to the Uplevel gateway. If they can see the NAS, they can see the snapshots, and now they don't have to call support anytime they accidentally deleted a file or something happened and they need to restore back to a previous version. They'll see all of those automatically on the NAS through the properties of the file itself, which is really exciting. Again, really trying to focus on efficiency and reducing those support tickets for MSPs so that they can increase profitability. And something like a restoration is an easy thing to remove support ticket load from. And there are a lot of other features, and I mean a lot in this release. Those are the big ticket items, but there are a ton of other little items in there. For instance, we enabled the SFP ports on the switches itself. We also enabled IPS IDS on a per VLAN basis. You now have PoE controls on the switch ports, which means that you can power cycle devices using those switch port controls, and it'll power cycle anything connected to that port. We've simplified the geo blocking names. This was a popular request. North Korea was not called North Korea in our previous version. That's because their official name is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. That's now gone, so I'm sure a lot of people will be very happy about that geo blocking addition and change. We're also now detecting and reporting any DHCP rogue servers that live on the network that people aren't aware of. Believe it or not, this is actually a common support issue that comes up. So hopefully this will help deployment times and efficiencies and make deploying into kind of unknown environments much easier moving forward with those rogue DHCP servers that can absolutely cause havoc on the network. There's also increased dashboard display times as well as access point and switch discovery speeds. So you'll see everything kind of load much quicker, connect up much faster with the new gateway firmware update. And most importantly, we have come up with a solution to what has become a very large issue with ISPs who are pushing NTP and DNS blocking. There are two very, very large internet service providers in the nation who are currently going through firmware updates to all of their modems that include NTP and DNS blocks, which make it very difficult for the gateway to get online. We've done some port masking, so that should be a permanent solution that should make deploying much easier and much more frictionless when it comes to deploying new gateways into environments. So that should help that tremendously, which will be fantastic. There are also 110 other bugs that we fixed in this release. I will not take you through all of them, but just know there's a lot of stuff in this release, all designed, again, to help maximize efficiency of the gateway, maximize efficiency of MSP time and energy, simplify the deployments, and increase the profitability of MSPs kind of moving forward as deployments continue, right? So you will see all of that. Like I said, all of the product features now are really focused on that productivity, the simplicity, the profitability, and the efficiency of the device itself, and helping MSPs grow their business more importantly. So our priorities moving forward, just to give you some insight as to where we are headed and where our mind really is we want to use these three things and these three kind of core items moving forward as really our baseline, and design infrastructure that does more with less. So we want to support lean growth both through MSPs as well as small businesses, right? So not requesting or requiring large amounts of capital to get started, removing those barriers of entry, and really making it easy for MSPs and customers alike to grow so that they can grow much quicker and be a part of the game as opposed to the large capital hurdles that we're used to when starting a business. We also want to expand support footprints for MSPs to allow them to actually grow their business both in customer size, customer scope, functionality, but also physical footprint. I think we're going to see this much more moving forward with work from home. We're going to have to get creative with how do we support further and further out customers and how do we deal with this. And additionally, add flexibility to customers and MSPs. This is huge, right? In an environment where we really don't even know what next week is going to hold as far as headlines go, let alone next year, and trying to plan for a business a year in advance seems a bit daunting, to say the least, and a bit unrealistic. So providing infrastructure that is flexible and allows for things to change and move over time is going to be huge. You'll see this both in our software services, right? We like to say that we're a software company with a side of hardware that really are designed to allow flexibility and for things to change and to enable or disable services as you need. But you'll also see it in our billing model and just our overall business model, really providing flexibility with partners and customers, certainly in this time of craziness, and trying to figure out how we begin to harden infrastructure moving forward. I think we certainly have several large hurdles to come over, and one of those is really going to be work from home. How do we harden infrastructure so that it's robust and reliable, like what we're used to in the office, in a home environment? So with that, we've come up with 3 different models for work from home. The first is good, where you deploy basic gateways and access points into executives' home offices to segregate, most importantly, the home office traffic from just the home traffic, right? And preventing other users that are in the house from tainting or diminishing traffic that the office really needs. Most importantly, we don't want to see a huge spike in security issues that we're already starting to see because of these broadened security facades, if you will, that have occurred while everyone is working from home. So we want to get those home offices secure, because we all know VPNs are good, but they're no longer enough when the entire nation is working from home. And a VPN is only as good as the device connecting to it. So you've got to keep those devices at home secure. So the best or the easiest way to do that is to deploy a gateway, segregate out those streams of traffic so that you have protection against everything else happening on the network, like Netflix and Xboxes, and Lord knows what else. The better is going to be to deploy an advanced firewall into the main office, right? And then have all of the different executives connect in from their home offices with Uplevel gateways as well. That advanced gateway in the main office is really to provide a site-to-site VPN so that there is no question about it. The VPN is secure, and the two can communicate, as opposed to connecting in from a different VPN source and having an unknown client on the other side. And then best is going to be to add LTE failover. The biggest complaint that we are hearing right now is consumers' home internet is not as reliable as they thought. And it certainly did not get better as more and more people moved into the neighborhood and connected up, right? So the frustration around home internet access and providing LTE failover or dual WAN aggregation with those gateways so that they have reliable internet and can actually work from it moving forward. So those are really our overarching ideas as far as work from home, and the trend that we are certainly seeing across both large and small companies is how do we deal with this work from home infrastructure on an ongoing basis. So with all of that being said, we're going to give a bit of a teaser of what's coming next. We have several industry tech partnerships headed your way, so keep an eye out for that. We will be doing a July webinar as well with Acronis to announce some exciting news there. So keep your eyes out for that. We have a ton of stuff in the works coming your way. We certainly have been busy during quarantine, so you will see a whole bundle of new items kind of coming down the funnel in these next couple of months. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. We have 7 minutes before the bottom of the hour, but if we run over a bit, we will continue to answer them. Tom, are there any questions that have come up along the way? Does anyone have any questions for either Tom or I related to the release?
Let's see, can you hear me now, Robin?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. So there have been quite a number of questions that have come in, some that I've answered already and some that we can answer live. So before we answer questions, though, I do have one clarification that I should make. The local snapshot time machine is actually for the 4.0 release. It is not yet in the 3.3 release, just to clarify. So moving along, so the first question is, is the 4.0 domain customer specific to Uplevel gateway with domains or to any domain sitting behind a gateway?
Oh, that's a good question. It is Uplevel specific domains. Yeah, it's the Uplevel domain controller is the 4.0 release. Great question.
Let's see. The next question is, so what's the rollout plan for these releases? When will the gateways be upgraded?
Yeah, good question. So we do releases in a rolling fashion. Your specific release time, you will get an email about. If the time doesn't work for you, please let us know. We are more than happy and very flexible to reschedule it if need be. We will push the upgrades automatically. We'll give you about a week notice of that upgrade occurring and then push them automatically. There's no human intervention required. You'll get all the information in the email about what to do and how to deal with the release. But the only thing that we require is that the gateway be online, and then we will automatically push that upgrade. But as far as the timeline goes, they've already started. They will probably take another month and a half, probably another 6 weeks to entirely complete. If you would like the release sooner, please feel free to email support and we can easily move you up in the timeline. If you haven't received an email yet, it'll be coming here in the next couple of weeks.
So let's see, the next one was about the 48 port switch and the SFP ports on it. The question was, will the SFP ports on the 48 port switch be able to connect to the existing deployed 8 port and 22 port switches?
Yes. All of our switches are compatible with one another. Yes.
Yes. So I can add a little bit of color on that one. So what the 3.3 and 4.0 releases do is they actually enable the SFP ports on the existing deployed switches. No interruption to traffic, but they enable the SFP ports on those switches. And so what you can then do is to have an uplink port, which is optical, as well as between 1 and 3 downlink ports or LAN ports that are also optical. So you can actually use those building-to-building fiber links now without having any converters.
Yeah. So previously, the SFP ports on any of our switches did not have, were not active. So it's now active across all 3, 8, 24, and 48 port switches.
So now we have a whole slew of questions that came in. So there was a question about the temperature range of outdoor APs. So has it gone up?
The temperature, yes. Yes, it has gone both up and down. So the range on it has expanded.
Right. So actually, again, to add a bit of color to that, so the previous, the existing APs that we're shipping are indoor APs and designed for standard indoor temperature ranges. The outdoor AP is designed for an extended temperature range of up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So this means you can stick it into a warehouse, for example, and things are generally good.
Yeah, as well as humidity, right? Humidity is the other large factor in the outdoor access points.
Okay. Let's see. Then we have, will your LTE failover support VPN?
Sorry, say that one more time. You cut out on me.
Sorry, will your LTE failover support VPN?
Oh, yes, definitely. The VPN is included in the LTE failover as well as the load balancing feature on the gateway. So that is always, yes, it is there. Correct.
To add a bit of color to that, you probably don't want to load balance over an LTE link just because it's so expensive, but you can do it if you want to. And yes, if you have an LTE link, essentially the VPN will remain running and up and going even when failed over to LTE.
Yeah, the user really won't experience much of anything except for a small glitch in when it fails over for several seconds.
Next question was, do the Uplevel APs still only work with Uplevel switches? That is, you can't use other vendor switches in the network between the gateway and the AP.
Yes, that is correct. They still must go through an Uplevel switch. But now you have the option of a 48 port switch in addition.
Yes, to explain why that is because most third-party switches block the discovery packets between the AP and the switch. And also when we convert the connection between the AP and the switch or the gateway into a VLAN trunk, pretty much everything else on a third-party switch between those two gets left out in the cold, unless you can speak VLAN times. Next question is, have you made any progress for capability to customize certain site settings for a multi-site environment? For example, you may want to use a custom DNS for different sites, among other things that you may want independently of other sites on one customer.
Oh, that's a good question. We have not in this release made any changes to overarching site configurations. We have received a request in the past. There are some backend things that we can do depending on the specific deployment scenario. There's nothing overtly that's been changed in this release for overarching site settings. Tom?
Yeah, to actually clarify that, there are a fair number of settings today that do actually change or can be changed across sites. DNS is one of them. So you can have different DNS servers at different sites. You can set up different VoIP service, I believe. But yes, Robin is right. There's nothing specific in the 3.3/4.0 releases that are different from the previous 3.2 release. Let's see. Next question. Oh boy, we are actually running out of time, aren't we? Okay, I guess we'll have time for a couple more questions.
And if there's anything that we don't get to,
that's true. We will actually we have all the questions, so we will then send out the answers to the questions before or after this webinar is over. So we will make it a point to answer everyone's questions. We just may not be able to answer them live right here, right now.
Yeah.
So the next question is, you refer to basic versus advanced gateway on some of the slides. I thought there was only one model.
Correct. So there is only one model. The basic gateway refers to the IPS IDS domain filtering and geo blocking turned off, where the advanced gateway or advanced security gateway includes that subscription. So it's a matter of what subscription you have enabled on top of the basic stateful firewall gateway. That's yes. A good question. Yeah.
Right.
We use basic as kind of the base gateway model that includes LTE failover diagnostics, the stateful firewall, those basic things, and then you can add additional subscriptions on top, which is how we refer to an advanced quote gateway. But it is the same model. You're correct.
The next question, I guess we are well past the time, so we'll just make this the last question and then answer all the rest of the questions offline. So the last question we will answer is, can you describe the work from home packages that you briefly touched on?
Yes, I can describe them. So when all of this started happening, we had a fair number of partners start deploying our gateways to home offices. And so with that, we came up with a work from home package that was specifically designed for executives and anyone working from home, right? And so with that, there are still the same features that you could do with any of our gateways, but it's really the curated feature set that most employees need when working from home. For instance, a stateful firewall, the VLANing, and it makes it so that the gateway can be drop shipped directly to their home. The basic features of the gateway are the same, but it's just designed specifically for this work from home package.
Okay, and I think now we are so far beyond a lot of times, so I'll turn it back to Robin and we can close.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for listening to us this afternoon. Like we said, we will get back to anyone's questions that we weren't able to get to this afternoon. But if anyone has any additional questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to support. Hopefully by now everyone knows our support number, but just in case you don't, you can always email support@uplevelsystems.com. Fairly easy. Let us know if you have any questions. As always, Tom and I are an open book, so feel free to ping us if there's ever anything that we can help you with. We'll be sending out those emails about when your release is coming, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll see y'all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.